Assemble, please. This is from me to us. I call it Students' Guide. VK.
Richard was a high school boy, very brilliant, always top in his class. Hey, Christine was no different, very beautiful, pretty and cute. See, high school boy running, high school girl, the order of the day. Hey, what's a word? Riding on their bike, sharing yoga temple, love a person on steady strike. See, love is sharing in the expense of good people promises they don't even understand. Sooner than later, the unexpected happen in 9 months. They will be father and mother, which is a large job for hearing the news. His full praise cannot be traced. Hey, Christine is very sad. With her hands above the head, she cries, saying, "Had I known it's always a last, never joke with your education. I now know it's always the best to learn hard when you are in school. Had I known it's always a last, never joke with your education. I now know it's always the best to learn hard when you are in school." And I ordinary Chris, no, 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 me. I not ordinary math, no, friend, say boy you are your math. Watch it, Jimmy, say me bread. And I ordinary Chris, no, 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 me. I not ordinary math, no, friend, say boy you are your math. Watch it, Jimmy, calling me. And I'm a woman, me, man, me, want to have me, show me, not PM. Say me, walk where baby, I'm from somewhere back, and it's in PM share. Me, would you yank?
We give you a very warm welcome to News Magazine, and my name is Irbad Ibrahim. I'm here with my all-time colleague, maybe my partner in crime. And to our viewers in Asanteman, we say Akwaba.
And to our viewers from Volta, we say Wezo. We're not just saying this Wezo, or we're not always just trying to speak the language, but all we're trying to portray is that we're one people, one with common values and destiny, and so we're one people living in this continent.
Today is a packed show as usual, and then we are going to have a parental twist to our discussion on education. What role do parents play in the future career paths of people, right from the basic or infantile level to the highest pinnacle of education? You just can't afford to miss this lively discussion with a mother and a father. Those two people have got kids studying at the basic level of education in the Republic of Ghana. But before then, Abina will take us through the trending news.
Okay.
Abina, what do you have for us by way of news?
Yeah, we've got some packed stories, and the first story seemed a bit funny, but it's not funny.
Really?
It's a serious
Okay.
story.
Okay.
So this one says, doctor turns taxi driver in Ho. This for my joy.
I think the medical field is facing some challenges currently. You know, a few decades ago, it was a pride of every family that you would have a doctor amongst you because, number one, it showed that you had a high IQ. Number two, whoever studied for 6 or 7 years would automatically be absorbed by the system. But today, after your residency or after you've done your housemanship, you need to go ferret for a job. So therefore, it's not as chic being a doctor as it was in the past. So therefore, people are trying to eke out a living. They do what they call locum. Locum is when you work for a government hospital, but you try to do some galamsey with a private hospital. So that ebbs away at the quality of medical care that is given in government institutions like Kolebu, Ridge Hospital, and a host of others. Because the frontline people are not the consultants, the experienced people. Yes, yes. So we go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we continue with the trending news. Do stick and stay with us.
Do you want to enroll your ward in a school where quality basic education, discipline and moral upbringing is our hallmark? Then come to Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Basic School. Great Asas, Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences has vacancies in preschool, lower and upper primary, JHS 1 and JHS 2, with spacious and ventilated classrooms. The school also has excellent boarding facilities for students from upper primary to JHS. Great Asas also has a well-stocked library, a school bus that picks your ward from home to school and back home, with adequate security measures to ensure your ward safety. Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences Preschool has state-of-the-art learning materials to make learning fun for your ward. We also have the cadet corps and a cultural troupe to tap hidden talents in your ward. Locate Apostle Safo School of Arts and Sciences at Awoshi Last Stop, Accra. Great Asa!
Hello, lovely people of Africa, African Youth Time. This is the show, as I rightly said, that gives African youth the platform to have an up-close with living legends who are helping build the continent.
The youth of Africa, they have a lot of potential.
What is killing Africans is our inability to discover and identify our potentials and what we can do for ourselves.
Nobody makes you a leader. You become a leader.
We are not poor. The resources in Congo alone can feed the whole Africa.
Okay, you're welcome back. Amma, Abena, what is the next story?
Okay, we go straight to the next story. Okay, the next story says GES sacks 11 staff for sexual misconduct, stealing. That's from Joy.
The issue of sexual abuse and exploitation is becoming one too many in our educational sector. I don't know what you can attribute that to, but many of the teachers are very young and then they are unmarried. So therefore, I believe as time goes on in the various academies or training institutions where we get people trained to become professional teachers, we need to look at the psychology of education, how you can control your libido when you are dealing with really young and impressionable people of the opposite gender. And where we have only girls in a school, if we can throw in as many female teachers as possible, that is very, very helpful, so that we can create a balance to take away anything that would give people the penchant to want to exploit those young girls. And we have to also be frank to the male teachers. Sometimes it is the girls. Yes. I don't know whether you've taught before, but people who have taught at really young age, a very young age, complain that sometimes they get notes, romantic notes, from their female students, and then they write them letters. And in the age of technology, they may look for their numbers and try to contact them and all that. So we need to strengthen the counseling regime within the Ghana Education Service so that people can preserve their chastity until the time is right.
Right. You made mention of young teachers, especially being, young male teachers. Are you saying we shouldn't employ young teachers, male teachers into educational system, because that's what.
No, many people that attend training colleges are young people in their early or mid 20s, in some cases early 30s. So these are very high on testosterone, so to speak. So we need to create a balance. But for me, getting female teachers in female institutions or single-sex institutions with only girls would go a long way to help us. It's like running a convent. Yeah. If you have a convent and the nuns are women, then it becomes much, much easier than throwing in priests. Yeah. So that there are no cases of sexual exploitation.
Okay. That I agree with you. And the next one says, we're nowhere near doom, so it's a thing of the past. Amewu from City.
Power supply has been a bit erratic in recent times. So this is quite reassuring from the Energy Minister that we aren't going back to the bad old days. of Dumso, where businesses suffered, households were struggling, people could not wake up and go to work early, people, got hurt by power banks they used to preserve, energy on their phones and all that, or battery lifespan on their phones and all that. So therefore, the period between 2013 and then 2015, those were really challenging times for industry and then residents. So therefore, we want to bid good riddance to erratic power supply, and we don't want a recurrence of what happened during that period. He said car power badge was a bit down with some technical challenges. And then we have the FPSOs, we have Aboase, and a host of other, auxiliary power generating facilities. So therefore, we need to strengthen the operations of these various facilities so that Ghana doesn't relapse into the old days, back into the days of Dumso.
Okay. Away from that story, NPA to pilot cylinder circulation model in Kumasi. This is for my joy.
When you go buy cooking gas, the gas cylinder is flammable, it's combustible. And so sometimes the way people handle the cylinders, you can see very, during a very scorchy day, someone is carrying a load of, gas cylinders. It can explode. So therefore, more outreach, more education. And I'm a victim of gas explosion. So therefore, we do the advocacy and tell people how they can, behave when they are around gas cylinders, because a gas cylinder can cost you your life. So therefore, it's good that we are trying this. So instead of going to a gas station to buy, there will be trucks that will be moving around vicinities, and then you buy and pay for the services they render. So they are piloting this in Kumasi. We hope it becomes successful so that there is a ripple effect in all the other parts of the country.
Okay. Do you also think it would save costs?
No, I think the end consumer should pay for services. So therefore, if the MPA is an EPA and other state institutions are carrying out this NCCE to do the advocacy bit, then of course, instead of maybe paying 50 Ghana, you could pay an additional cost of maybe 5 Ghana so that you cover the cost of the services that are rendered.
I'll move forward to the next story. Police in Kumasi have arrested 2 suspects in the murder of a final year student of the Efiduasi Senior High Commercial School in the Ashanti region.
I won't be surprised if the victim is a girl. So we advise girls, scamming has taken a new twist. First, they would only dupe people online, but they've taken it a notch higher. It's voodoo in every sense of the word. So they sacrifice people. So girls should be careful who gives them the latest iPhone or the latest Samsung, or skipping class to go, stay with some guy who is not married to you. We're all victims anyway. We are all perpetrators of such crimes. We remember our days in uni. All the time you would have female friends visiting and all that. Yeah. But girls should be extra cautious. Exactly. And parents should be concerned who their girl child associates with, because the world out there is quite dangerous.
They sneak though.
Yeah, people will do anything.
And then you're by the roadside, and then someone, park a posh car and then ask you to get in. Maybe you could just drop you at where you want to go to. So
it's a bait, you understand? You don't catch fish until you throw in some bait. Just be careful. You can marry a very successful young man. Nobody is averse to that. But a parent should be concerned who their girl child is associating. Those times, parents were happy when book-long friends like us came around, because we would be holding a dictionary or holding a novel. But now they want people with the latest everything. Very soon we'll be looking for latest babies as well.
Yeah. Okay, the next story, this is actually a survey from, and it's from Ghana Web. Ashanti region ranked most corrupt in Ghana in the education and health sector.
I am from Kumasi. I was born, my umbilical cord is in Kumasi. I was born in Manshia Hospital. So anytime Kumasi comes up for any negativity, I get a bit passionate. But then the health and education sectors are, awash with so many such reports of corruption. Before your ward enrolls in a school, you have to pay something. You go to the hospital, maybe you need to buy a drug at this cost. Somebody wants to cut corners. So therefore, our advocacy against corruption should be across board, not specifically targeting Kumasi, but all other parts of the country.
Well, they used most. So, I mean,
no,
that
I
means
need
there
to
is
see.
corruption.
No, I'm not being too dogmatic, but I need to see the sample space. What were the indices that were used? What were the principles and theories that were used in this survey? But be that as it may, issues of corruption within the education and health sectors are real, and we need to tackle them across board.
Okay. Moving forward, University of Environment will remain in Somanya, Akufo-Addo. That's from Ghana Web.
There should be proper representation for everybody. If there is a university like that, it should remain where it is. It shouldn't be moved, because there were rumors that the university would be moved to the place of origin of His Excellency, the President, the Chebi area. It's all political talk. For as long as it's in Somanya, the good people of Somanya and the good people of Ghana. And a university in a city doesn't mean it is a preserve of the indigenes of that city. Ghanaians and even people from outside the country can always enroll. So there's no big deal at all about this.
Okay. Our next story says, government to get 35 million World Bank cash to scale up land administration service. This is for my joy.
Maybe in future we'll have the opportunity to look at the land tenure system, rent control and others. It's so bad out there. All of us are victims of purchase of a land. You start building and someone raises it to the ground or tells you they are the bona fide owner of that land. So we need to look at that. Lands Commission, accusations of corruption, how real estate agents cut corners, the actions of land guards. I believe at an appropriate time we'll have an opportunity to do a proper diagnosis of this particular problem and see how as a country we can proffer lasting solutions to them.
Okay. Our next story says, I was shocked by the death of the gentleman, Chiremanting
Ejiakor, and condolences to the bereaved family. And this means there's going to be a by-election, and we believe that people within the Iowa West to work on and will conduct themselves well.
Okay. And then to our last story, President Nana Akufo-Addo inspects one district, one factory project in Esujaman. This is from Peace.
And in 2019 will be a contentious year, because that is when people start asking government, where are the factories? We were to have like 56 or something for 2017. That didn't happen. We saw the pomp and pageantry that characterized the launch of the program. People are saying, no, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. For moribund factories that are there, we can inject some life into them. So it's an open debate. And I believe from 2019, people will start questioning government to make good on each promise it made. So if His Excellency wants to give some oxygen to this lofty project of 1D1F, it's all good news, and we wish government the very best.
Definitely. Okay, that's how we come to Crossroads on our trending news for today. I'll be back shortly with some comments. Please stay with us.
We go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we sit with parents to discuss how they can contribute to the career path of their wards right from the basic level. Do stay and stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Nipa how ene ne da achanti ena abribia wo sori prayer hwehwe na ahoto ne nso ema prekope enkukuhwe ase ene wo how bebre ene wo mu wenti ena Kantanka TV ya hwehwe dwumadie foforo kra ya to din se edwasonsem wo dwasonsem dwumadie so ne baba kuna adwadifo ne abusa wo mo how ene wo mama ne wo mo efa mu na empo se edaw bitai akira a wo de pre ahwehwe won da achen ahoto eno ti hia wo bia ba ama adwobi e wo Kantanka TV ne emfa edwasonsem emfa ndro.
Abodie mu no wonim sa onyankopon ewo adoma odedo moman bia sa akyede niam eboa ma nipa nya ahoto ewo ne dada asetenam ensio emframa ye duane ye nua kwaye enhahama ɛne nnuro ahodoɔ mpo yɛ amammerɛ ɛne yɛ amanneɛ saa nneɛma ɛyɛ nneɛma a nyankopɔn de bɔ ɔman biara sɛdeɛ mbɛma emu nipa no anya ahotɔ enti na Kantanka television ahyehyɛ dwumadie soronko a yɛato no din sɛ yɛdiem ɛwɔ yɛdiem dwumadie so no na yɛkɔ Ghana mmea nyinaa ne yɛkɔ akɔfa nneɛma ahodoɔ a onyankopɔn de adom yɛn ɛne mfasoɔ a yɛnya no wɔ so saa nso ne yɛbɛhwɛ ahobammɔ soronko a yɛde bɛma saa nneɛma yi yɛtumi ahwɛ so ye ɛde yɛgya hɔ ɛde ama nkyirima sɛ meka yɛdiem a na wagye so sɛ papapaa yɛdiem papapaa
Made in Ghana, yɛdiem. Yɛdiem. Ɔmo yɛ dwandi yɛn yɛn ma wo.
Yɛdiem no made in Ghana.
Yɛdiem made in Ghana.
Hey, hey, 2K Silent Primary. Change lesson, please.
Please, teacher, good morning.
Why you late?
Oh, my main shampoo.
Why you late?
My name is last warning.
Why you late? Beja bear. Trebe me, why you late?
Say, Major, good morning.
Hey, why you late?
Oh, my main shampoo.
Oh, why you late?
My name is last warning.
Hey, why you late? Trebe me. You fast, why you late?
Hey, school the big keke. You just follow your F again. Ha, hello, darling. Brother, if you wake up.
Myself. What time I need to have it last time? Baby, I'm a best one. I would do my time 11:30. Then put us in my bante.
What bantem won't make catchy? I won't so walk catchy. You this boy and casa you don't respect. I shouldn't be the assign be he crying as a war. I be feeling class test. You waba baby, John Bulu say one wine. Could you crab or no free pantine? And then I show my papa. Say why we are way past our from
this one is not my fault. I'm coming inside, I get caught. It's not a phone call, it's not a home call. This one is a special nature's call.
And so, what are you waiting for? Menya nice, my moko ngwaso. Ope crap on Niger, offer pastor. Come lie down, you fast my time oko.
Say time need a German in court. Me fifi and no one in pipe. Say headmaster who me cry on Kemunko. So dear unye moche apostle.
Ready fool, shall I want my ninja?
Oh say please.
Say fin, wumwa dear, shen sama wujna hockey cat. Mema mi boom kunya sa sembeba. Yo.
Say who me mama wine a me medium. Me I have attention crowd me do dum. Ochina cry for me a draw. I'm come to bomb me and me wash it. So bad.
School the big keke. You just follow your F again. Ha, hello, darling. Brother, if you wake up.
And you say good morning.
Why you late?
And then so me team pray. Yeah, make a be a winty. And you praise me by so your mundi.
Ah, that two boys name so my.
You okay na machi was you. Now so me no nya adwene.
If you are not make mind with me, fine. But what I'm saying is, me, I'm make late before you.
Opa, who you listening me? Oh, me you listening me?
Everybody they know say me I make late. The headmaster knows say I make late. School children know say I make late. Cupboard boy know. School prefect knows say me I make late. Everybody knows say I make late.
Now me headmaster nko no kwama me lateness award. Now would everybody back up pay
me? Hey, if we as a party, and now mudi yesuku no mo ka se. Eye wengeze na mafani easy. Yo.
You're welcome back, and today we have a very beautiful lady. She's a mother of 3 and she's been married for the past 12 years. We are going to discuss what role parents can play in the educational development of their wards and whether they attend PTA meetings at all. You can join the conversation via WhatsApp currently on 0558 656899. And then at the appropriate time, we'll give you the opportunity to call onto the show on this very line. Are you a parent? How do you juggle work with the education of your kids? We have in the studio Mildred Adai. Mildred, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Mildred sounds Spanish. Your great-great-grandfather came from Spain, I suppose. It's a biblical name.
Yes, actually.
You never bothered to ask?
I only found out the meaning, and it's just mild.
Oh, no wonder you are just mild. Mildred, nice having you in the studios.
Thank you.
You were in the financial and savings sector. Then you decided to stop working so that you could have enough time for your kids. You've been married 12 years, and how has the experience been?
Experience as in marriage?
Yeah, life in marriage, generally. Then we look at work, and then we look at kids. How were things during the first 2 years? Were you taken by surprise when the kids started coming, having to take them to daycare school and all that?
Thank you so much. Actually, I would say it was a new thing I entered into. So definitely, I wouldn't have it all rosary. So it's like, it's a blend of bit confused sort of atmosphere, because it gets to a point bringing out children, and it's like, it's an experience you haven't gone through before. So with that, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, and, you know, nurturing, and it wasn't easy. But I believe with the support of the both of us, this one handles this, my husband handles that, I do this, it helped. It helped, and as time goes on, it has really helped.
Not all, you know, apologies to husbands, not all husbands are that supportive. They want the woman to do everything from boiling water to laying the bed. How easy does bringing up a child become, and especially taking care of them when they return from school? How easy does it become when you have a supportive husband?
Yes, I think all these things have to start right from the onset. In time of courting and in that relationship, these issues must be discussed. You see, the man is coming from a different background. You're also coming from a different background. The style of bringing up, your style of bringing up is different from the style of the man being brought up. So in that atmosphere, that is when you have to discuss issues. Oh, what are some of the things we're going to do when we get into marriage? You're going to do this, you'll be bearing the children, you'll be helping, supporting. It got to a point when I was pregnant, I realized at a point in time, I was so weak, I couldn't do anything. I woke up early in the morning, I was like, wow, I couldn't do anything. It was a weekend. My husband was like, okay, you just stay in bed, I'm going to do everything. And he prepared me a nice soup with some rice attached to it, and it was really good. I was like, that was the first time I took his meal anyway.
And I'm sure I can bet it wasn't nice, but you just managed.
No. It wasn't that good. It wasn't that bad, but it was consumable.
Okay, and thank you so much. Mildred, you have 3 beautiful kids. What are their ages, and where do they stand in school currently?
Okay, the first one is 11 years, and he is in class 6.
Class 6 at 11?
Yes.
So it means 3 years from now, he will write his first external exam, the BEC, and he would be entering SHS at 14 or 15.
Yeah, 15.
Isn't that too early?
I would say it's the system we are in now. You understand? And this, our era, you start school very early. Unlike the previous years, you had to, there's a saying, I can't remember, one of an elderly person in our family was like, before you could start school, you have to, you know, put your hand across. If your hand touches your shoulder, that is when it is presumed that you could start school. But this time around, it isn't like that. You start school as early as 3-6 months, and so I think it's the era. It's not anything so strange.
Mildred, I hate to cut you, but our second guest, who is a public broadcaster and producer of GTV's breakfast show, is also a parent, Akwesi Nchi, will join us shortly. We go for a quick commercial break. We'll be back soon. So you'll be joined by... Yes.
Okay.
Hello, lovely people of Africa, African Youth Time. This is the show, as I rightly said, that gives African youth the platform to have an up close with living legends who are helping build the continent.
The youth of Africa, they have a lot of potential.
What is killing Africans is our inability to discover and identify our potentials and what we can do for ourselves.
Nobody makes you a leader. You become a leader.
We are not poor. The resources in Congo alone can feed the whole Africa.
Onipa how ene ne da achenti ena abribia wo sori prayer hwehwe na ahoto ne nso ema prekope enkukuhwe ase ene wo how bebre ene wo mu wenti ena Kantanka TV ya hwehwe dwumadie foforo kra ya to din se edwasonsem wodwasonsem dwumadie so ne baba pne adwadefo ne abusa wo mo how ene wo mama ne wo mo efa mu na empo se edaw bitai akira a wode pre ahwehwe won da achen ahoto eno ti hia wo bia ba ama adwobi e wo Kantanka TV ne emfa edwasonsem emfa mbro.
You're welcome back. We are joined by another parent. He's a lecturer with the Ghana Christian University, Akwesi Koranchi Nchi. Sir, thank you so much for making time. I'll go back to Mildred. Mildred, Franklin is 11, he's in class 6. You were working for a savings and loans company. Of course, he was your firstborn. At what point did you decide to quit your job just to have enough time for Franklin?
Actually, that wasn't my first job. I was with Jebakosi Company Limited.
Okay.
I worked with them. So when I started giving birth, Franklin was the type he wasn't eating. And his style of feeding was very difficult. So at a point in time, I realized that he was getting sick. And it's like, there was no anything attached to the sickness, just like he wasn't eating properly, because where he started the school, he was like, because he was not eating, they weren't able to handle him. So I decided to quit my job because I realized that I had no option. So I discussed it with my husband and he agreed. So I had to quit my job, come take care of him. So I think when you got to age, say 3 or 4, he started school at 2, age 2. So 2, I also got another job, but it was a short while I got pregnant again. So I had to come back home. So I stayed home for so long a time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay. I'll come back to you. Akwesi. Good to see you, and I'm told you celebrated your birthday yesterday. Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
As a father, how supportive have you been to your wife? Rebecca is 11, your beautiful daughter, and she's in class 5. Yeah. Were you doing the dishes while her mother was looking at other things? Who helps with assignment when Rebecca comes home?
Okay, let me say good morning to your viewers, and then as much as I do, your team, you are doing a good job. Okay. Impacting and communicating to the society and giving much of education and information is not an easy task with your production team and your crew. But coming back to your question, you realize that keeping a home becomes a unilateral decision. That factors the mother, the father, the parent, you understand? In as much as factors the parent, extended family also comes into play. Because when you give birth, your mother-in-law or whoever has to come and support with other basic things. After a particular set period of time, then you realize that the nursery sets in, the crèche, and then those things comes in. As a man, you provide the financial needs, but apart from the financial needs, you also need to provide the emotions, affections, so that at least you can support it. It's a shared responsibility whereby your wife works, very busy to do something, and sometimes you live in an environment whereby it's like cohabiting. So the woman goes to work, close at 5, the man has to leave by 4:30 p.m. and go to work and then close. So realize that the time for the board will be much challenging. So you need to resort to early crèche education for your ward. In as much as you want that, sometimes they come home with a lot of homeworks.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Akwesi, even though you say those decisions are unilateral, per your explanation, they become even multilateral, involving a lot of people, a lot of actors. But I would ask you, can there be division of labor? Maybe I drop off the kids to school as the father, the mother picks them up when they come home, and I do the homework while she's in the kitchen. Can you have that fine dichotomy?
Okay, let me bring you to a section of our society whereby when you live in a community like Nima, it's a different thing. When you live in a community like Trasaco, it's also a different thing. When you live in a society where people are educated, as married couples they are educated, it's also another different thing. In as much as you live in Nima, it's a perception that the woman has to take care of every basic thing. Not as in Muslim community, but Nima factors, Christians and whatever. That's where I find myself somewhere. I also find myself in an environment called Trasaco, whereby there is a driver who takes the ward to school. So that one is cared for. In as much as sometimes the parent or the mother does the dropping, the father does the picking. That's why I said there's a shared responsibility. It gets some time, it becomes a definite option. As a single parent, you have to take care of that. Okay. And sometimes as a father, if you are not around, I traveled, sometimes we travel to Kumasi, Tamale, and such places, and realize that it becomes the responsibility of the mother. Okay. Sometimes, let me say gratis to my mom, because she did an exceptional job by taking care of my daughter. You understand that? In as much as my wife also did her portion, the next thing that you could look at is that you are all workers, right? So we do not have that much time. So you resolute to your mom or your mother-in-law to take care of those other stuff. Okay. So my mom did the whole job of taking care from the crèche, picking her up and then taking her. That's why I said it depends on the kind of environment that we find ourselves.
Okay, I could say that is quite impressive. Apart from Franklin Mildred, you have Nigel, a very nice name, and then you have Nana Ishia. Franklin had a few complications growing up, and so you had to quit your job. What about Nigel and Ifia? Akwesi is saying you can outsource some of the parental responsibilities to your own mother so that she takes care of certain basic things. Did you do any outsourcing?
You know, sometimes, like what he said, it depends on the environment he comes from. Okay. Because for instance, my mom didn't have that chance. You understand? He didn't have that. She didn't have that. So I didn't get that opportunity. But before, 3 years ago, when I was in the banking sector, my daddy was doing that. In fact, I was relaxed. He would go, he would send them to school, he would pick them up. So I was just relaxed until the very day he was called to glory.
Oh.
So I had to take over.
But then, how about the element of your husband's family? Because I hear mothers find it quite challenging living in the same space with their mothers-in-law, but they can be very resourceful in taking care of the kids as you attend to other things.
Yeah, as I was saying, mine wasn't like that. I didn't get that opportunity because my mother-in-law is always at work and my father-in-law is also at work. So I didn't get that opportunity to hand over my kids to them. So I had to do it all by myself with my husband. Okay,
Akwesi, you will have something to add.
Adding up, well, her situation is different from my concept. Literally, I had to let my mom quit her job to come and sit at home to take care of my daughter.
Well,
you understand?
In the interim, what was your wife doing?
She was busy working then. So what happens is that no one can also dissolve the work and then come and sit at home and do all those basic jobs. So then my mom will have to sacrifice that. I said, kudos to my mom. She did a very good job. She's an exceptional job. And my daughter is really, really attached to my mom, more than I do. But we have a literal domain that we always do some basic kind of swag, some kind of, when I get time, I take her out and then do other stuff. That's, I try to look out for what my mom don't do for her. Then I pick those ones, take her to the mall, get some basic shopping.
Your mom and your wife, unless maybe they come from the same geographical area or they belong to the same ethnic group, isn't there a friction? For example, you have a vision for the education of the child. Yeah. Your mother, at your age, maybe she wasn't literate when she was a mother, when she was, nursing you. So how do you, iron out that difference so there is peace at home.
Your assertion of my mom's educational background, and you are on point on that.
No, I know.
In as much as you are on point on that, she never takes listings for chance to bear. Because what happens is that she also used the opportunity of educating her granddaughter in learning. Imagine the granddaughter teaching the grandmother. And I also factored another person to teach my daughter for classes. So when she was in the nursery, I had a teacher for her. You understand?
Okay.
So you realize that even whilst I had a teacher for her, I was also supervising the homework and then also supervising the advent of the classes or whoever who is teaching her. Okay. So you realize that I have, you know, if I get home by, you know our job, I get home maybe 12 midnight and I pick her assignments, look through how far, and then I pick the one for the classes one, also look through, and then check those things. So then you realize I do not have much time, but I want to check her updates. It got some time, I realized when she entered the lower primary, she was given an assignment at class 2. It said communication, ATM, ICT, we were learning ICT. And I said, at that age, how can a girl of maybe 5, 6, 8 define communication? How can a girl as such ask, what is ATM? You ask such a girl, ATM, in this kind of work? I believe we are in the information, whatever IT word, globalization, localization. But there are some particular age, she needs to understand, this is phone, this is this. But to the extent of what is communication, how can she even spell that word communication?
Okay.
You understand that?
Okay. I could say I'll come back to you shortly. I'll ask you pinpointed questions pretty shortly, but I'm concerned you are a mother with girl-child security. Because of course, because everybody is busy, you need to have a private teacher that does extra class. Most homes have been to, you have this young man in his early 20s or late teens. He has finished SHS. He comes in to teach the kids. How do you tackle the possibility of molestation while both parents are away? Because surveillance cameras alone can't help you.
Exactly. I would say that that is a bit of a problem, because in our days today, I mean, the way things are going on, it's sometimes scary. It's sometimes scary. So sometimes, you know, you have to talk to the, normally what I do is I talk to the boys. Let your eyes be on your sister. Everywhere she goes, make sure you follow her. Get to know what she does, where she goes, when your teacher is around. I speak to them. So it's like they've gotten to a point where when they see a male or something come around their sister, they are very watchful.
Okay. Okay. I want to stick to script. I could say, I'll ask you, can you share your experience when your child, you have only Rebecca, was in preschool and she's in class 5 now? What was the experience like for you? Or you were a very conservative dad, you said, okay, she wouldn't go to school till she was 4 or 5.
You know, most of the decisions were collective. With regards to, I usually talk on the part of my mom, because my mom was much attention to her. So she wanted all the best for her. So not that I also don't want it or I wasn't in position of that. My own is to provide the funds, because I made her withdraw from her work, and then come and cater for her. So we planned and then we started it. When we started, we were monitoring it, because there were other advents that we could also look out for. That what are the other activities that we can add? So I decided to go to Montessori to find out what is happening there, the kind of education that they give. We realized that our kind of educational system is different from the British one, different from the American ones. So I tried to research a lot of things from the net and then get some toys and other things at home for it to be available to her. So when she goes to school, it's a different thing. I one time visited a friend's nursery or crèche, and then I realized that on Fridays, they play music for the children to dance. And then I got my daughter's place, and it wasn't like that. So we realized that on Fridays, the kids are eager to come to school. So I went to the other side where my daughter was, and then I asked, why is it that you don't do such kind of activities? the woman says a waste of time. I said, but don't you think it encourages the kids to come to school? You realize that per my interaction with the other woman at the other school, I don't want to mention the name, you realize that the intake and then the enrollment was high. And then on Fridays, you realize that the kids like coming to school much. So we decided to factor it from Monday to Friday. And it's not all the kind of music as you know, but these are kind of educational musics. So they play the normal hip life, that is fine. They play the high life, that is fine. And then they play the other gospel side of it. In as much as she's careful on the choice of music. She also does a bit of culture. So now she decided to blend our native societal norms.
Okay. I wish we had the whole day because I have too many questions, but I'll try to be snappy with them. I'll ask you, you do homework with Franklin. I'll come back to you on the content of music. How many subjects do you help Franklin with when he comes home with assignments? And do you think he's overwhelmed by the number of subjects he does in school?
Well, Franklin, thank you. Franklin, at this stage, offer about 9.
In class 6.
9 subjects.
Okay.
And I'm able to help him with about 8 because I'm not good in French.
Oh, I see.
So when he asked for the French...
So you got him a French teacher?
We got him a French teacher. And the father is also very good in that. So it's like, when he brings the homework and he's like, I'm not able to tackle it, he waits when the dad comes, they do it. But with the help, and the dad, when I check, sometimes I get so busy that I check and I'm not able to complete. So when the dad also comes in, he also checks.
Okay. I could say you are a broadcaster. You mentioned music, and all of us have issues with the content of the lyrics. So TV watching time as a family, a mother, a father, and the kids. How do you regulate what your children hear and see? Because certainly if you are talking music, if your child came home singing about Ghana and all that, you would be happy. But certainly not po. So how do you regulate that in terms of wholesome content?
Content-wise with regards to entertainment, while the woman is very much careful with the selection of songs. In as much as she was careful, she introduced also the culture side of it.
Okay.
Realize that you come into your question as in watching television content-wise, you have no option than to resort to cartoon.
You resort to cartoons.
Yes, you must watch cartoons. And not just cartoons, but you also need to check the content-wise of the cartoons. Because some cartoons can be very dangerous and harmful to the health of the well-being of your kids.
No, you work for GTV.
Yes.
Most TV stations between 4 and 5 will show various forms of cartoons. And so some are very violent. So is there a way we can tweak, even with cartoons being funny and for kids? Tom and Jerry is not what everybody shows. So what kind of advocacy do you think we can do?
Well, there are a lot of cartoons on the market, but you realize that some of them are used for various purposes. In as much as they are used for various purposes, some are also designed for the marketing strategy. Some are used for purpose of impacting education, to let the world understand the basic kind of, you realize A for apple, B for whatever, and then they are enjoying such. But in as much as you also want to have a literal domain of having from age 5 to 12, 7, or 17 or whatever, you cannot have all of them matching within that same belt. Because what will be good for the lower primary will not be as good as for the upper primary, heading towards the junior high, hitting that side. So you can have a universal cartoon that can suit all tastes. And you can have a select kind of cartoons that is for a particular purpose.
Okay, away from TV, I asked Madrid about the number of subjects. I'll ask you about materials.
Yes.
Do you make time to look at the kind of books Rebecca uses as textbooks in school?
Well, in reference to her homework, I do check on that. She has books for classes, and then she has books for the normal schools that she does. So I have an advancement of class teacher for her for class 6. She's now in class 5. She does classes for class 5, and then she does one for class 6. So we realize there are a lot of books. And sometimes I find it so interesting when children carry over 24 books in their bag, and they're very heavy at their back. You understand? The kind of courses that we study in school, I also believe that I have a challenge of that one, but it's up to us. But in a society like ours, just like our constitution, we had a review of it. If we are reviewing our education, it must be a collective thing. So at least, because today you will find people doing 12 subjects, another time you find people doing 10, another time you find people doing another 10 else. I was just having an interaction with a friend before coming on set, and I asked her, how many courses did you study at junior high? And she said 10. I did mine maybe 12. You understand that? Some people will do 8. Now, within all these things, they are still adding up. We don't know the kind of generation we are trying to put in. So we have a kind of a decade generational concept. So when you go to school, you study different things. When these people go, they study different things. And then you become like, we have a diverse view of kind of educational concept that we are trying to make.
Great point, Akwesi. We are still discussing the role you parents can play in the development of your child's education and future career. Your text messages should keep coming on 0558 656899, and pretty shortly we'll open the phone lines for you to contribute to the show. And we are beginning to wrap up the show. Mildred and Akwesi. Mildred, I'll start with you. Stakeholder involvement in the education of the kids at that basic level. PTA. How often do you attend PTA?
I often, anytime there is PTA, either I go or my husband goes.
Your husband makes time?
Yeah. Theirs is on a Sunday after church. So if he's not able to go, then I have to go. If he's not able to go, if I'm not able to go, he also has to go.
You must have a very supportive husband.
Good.
There are fathers who don't know the address of their kids' schools until they finish school. Akwesi, do you fall within that league?
Oh, well, I would say, you realize, while I'm talking, I'm turning to my mother's side. Then
because
my mother used to
for you to say, I only go sweat and toil for the funds.
Yes.
For you to pay, if it is school fees, I'm paying. If it is money for textbooks, I'm paying. I have no business going to the school.
I've been to her PTA formal school twice. The rest my mother do. I went for the first one and then the last one. Then when she changed, I went for the first one. But you know what I've identified with PTA is that when you go, they discuss 3 key things. 1, assignment and parent attitude. Parent attitude. 2, is a punishment. Punishment of children. And then 3, motivation. These are the 3 key things. All the PTAs that I've attended, these are the 3 key things. Because you give your child homework or you give a word homework and the parent do not support it. They come back, the work is not done. Teachers complain about that. It's either they do another concept where the parent will have to sign and it will not be signed. So children come back to the classroom and then they do the same way. The next one is about motivation. You realize that we are all working for the purpose that we end our whatever. But in as much as somebody has been able to cater for your kid for a whole period of 4 months, at least something like maybe a hamper or so is nice. We also need to acknowledge the effort that teachers do. When it comes to punishment, whilst we are growing up, if you make a least mistake or you mess up, you can go and read. But we've now been made to understand that farming is a punishment. So when you give a word to read, it becomes another challenging thing. Was it yesterday I was dropping my kid at school and then she was late. She was supposed to be there 6:30. So when you get there 7:30, you go and scrap. And I said, you are late. She said, oh, I'm late. Oh. It's either they'll let me go and scrap or I have to go and sweep. I said, I'm sorry.
She's not doing any of that, so.
Yes, she said they will give her those 2 punishments. She has to go and scrap or she has to go and sweep. I said, I'm sorry, forgive me that I caused it. But sometimes you have to go through such. You understand? We were whipped. But now when you whip someone's son or daughter, it becomes another thing, as if it has never happened on this earth before. And it becomes very challenging for the kind of society that we are growing now, for the kind of children that we are growing now.
Okay.
I was whipped, you were whipped, and then she was whipped.
Okay.
It's an open secret that we all know. Okay. But now when your kid is whipped, it becomes another thing else.
We'll shortly open the phone lines, if that is possible, for you to contribute to the program. I'll ask you, Mildred. He says they discuss motivation, punishment, assignments. But some also view PTA as an opportunity to announce increments in fares. Exactly. Or your kids have to pay this extra, or you have as a parent to pay this extra. Do you think all the years you've gone for PTA meetings and there has been an increase in the quality of output in terms of the education your 3 kids are having?
No, thank you. Actually, it's like, well, as you were saying, when you go to the PTA meeting, these are some of the things that are being asked. You understand? But I believe that is also a basement for parents to come out with problems that are bothering their wards. You understand? I, for instance, when I get to the PT, I make sure whatever happens that is wrongly done in this with my kids, I voice it out. Especially with homeworks. Sometimes the kids will come, I can't find my book. And it's like, it's cool with the teachers and stuff. But I realize that no, when the child comes, you, the teacher, has to find out, is your homework done? Have you brought it or not? But sometimes, as I was saying, when you know the kids, when they get to the upper primary, that is where the problem starts. Because from the lower primary, from nursery to class 3, it's one teacher taking care of almost all the subjects. But when they get to the upper primary, class 4, different teachers comes in and goes out. So that is where their characters are being shown. So if eyes are not being kept on them, they become something else. That is when they develop with different characters. He exhibits a different character here, exhibits a different character, because it's not one teacher that is in the class. They go and go different teachers. So some of these things, for instance, I can't remember, I voiced it out at the PTA meeting that these are some of the things they need to check out with. Because
we go for our final commercial break. When we come back, Abena reads your text messages. Those they can stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Abodie mu no wonim sɛ onyankopɔn ɛwɔ adom a ɔde dom ɔman biara saa akyɛdeɛ ɛyɛ nneɛma a ɛboa ma nipa nya ahotɔ wɔ ne daadaa asetena mu nsuo mframa yɛaduane yɛnnua kwayɛ nhahama ɛne nnuro ahodoɔ mpo yɛamammerɛ ɛne yɛamanneɛ saa nneɛma ɛyɛ nneɛma a nyankopɔn de bɔ ɔman biara sɛdeɛ mbɛma emu nipa no anya ahotɔ. Enti na Kantanka television ahyehyɛ dwumadie sonko a yɛato ne din sɛ yɛdiem. Ɛwɔ yɛdiem dwumadie so no na yɛkɔ Ghana mmea nyinaa ne yɛkɔ akɔfa nneɛma ahodoɔ a Onyankopɔn de adom yɛn ɛne mfasoɔ a yɛnya no wɔ so. Saa nso ne yɛbɛhwɛ ahobammɔ sonko a yɛde bɛma saa nneɛma yi. Yɛtumi ahwɛ so yie ɛde yɛgya hɔ ɛde ama nkyirima. Sɛ meka yɛdiem a na wagye so sɛ papapaa. Yɛdiem papapaa.
Made in Ghana, yɛdiem. Yɛdiem. Ɔmɛ yɛnwande yɛn yɛma wo.
Yɛdiem no made in Ghana.
Yɛdiem made in Ghana.
You're welcome back. Abena joins us. Abena, what do you have for us by way of text messages?
I've got some few text messages. I'm somebody that my spirit always liked this Kantanka TV station, but I don't know how to collaborate with you people. I'm from Bolgatanga, no name. And then the next one says, I'm really enjoying the program. I like the submission of the guest, Araba from Takrade. And another one says, hello. My name is Osei from Dankwa. Okay, I'm enjoying your news. Keep it up. And then the last one says, I wish parents should be given frequent attention because they play a vital role in the lives of the people. And then there's actually another one, but this one is a birthday wish, so I just have to give it out and so that person would not feel hurt. I'm really enjoying the program. No, okay. Happy birthday to Araba Mensa Kobna in Italy from Akwesi Asante of Kantanka TV.
Okay.
That's how we end our
okay, so thank you so much, Abinasa, for time is all spent, it's exhausted. I'll give you a minute each. What would be your closing remarks? And as a parent, maybe your recommendations so that you think the next generation of kids could have better than your kids are having in school?
Okay, thank you so much. I would say parents should be much focused on their kids, because in our era, there are a lot of things that are going on. Okay. Many things. So it's like when the kids are not compatible to you, it's like because of this career stuff, there is no time, and it's like we leave our kids in the hands of other people to handle. You understand? Not necessarily close relatives or something. Like as you, my brother Chrissy is saying, the mom. But sometimes we look for this house helps and they come in and they rather gain the kind of relationship that we parents need to get to them.
Okay, thank you.
So I think we parents, we have to put in
less than 10 seconds, if you may.
In wrapping up, I would say education is a collective, something that we all must be and adhere to. We have investment to invest in. If you're investing in your oil, it's a good thing, but you must look at it carefully.
Okay, thank you so much.
And there should be a collective thing.
And we had in the studios Midred Adai. She's a parent, and she quit banking to make time for her kids. Thank you so much for making time. And then a lecturer with Ghana Christian University and a broadcaster, Akwesi Koranchi Nchi. Thanks for making time. And so we come your way on Monday with another edition of News Magazine. Stay blessed and keep watching Kantanka TV. Do have a good day.